and welcome to Big Muddy Mayhem. This is the podcast where we talk about true crime and bad behavior throughout the Midwest.
Each week we'll bring you 2 stories from the heartland that might break your heart, but we hope to entertain you along the way.
I'm Tracey Lucia.
And I'm Janet O'Brien. Hello!
Hello, Janet!
How are you?
Hi! Oh my goodness!
It's been a minute since you've actually heard us.
It kind of is. Yeah, we took the week off last week for Thanksgiving.
Right, and I tried to drop that. I failed because it was so long. So I just ended up finding the episodes and putting them on Facebook.
It's okay.
And going, you should go re-listen to this one because this is my favorite. You should go listen to this one because this is Tracy's favorite. And here's
these were early ones.
Yes, they were.
So at least they were a little while back.
Yeah, but they still were good.
Hopefully, we really appreciate you if you went and listened to kind of the old ones again.
Yeah.
And we've got Bluebell, who is tip-tapping around the house.
Tap.
She will go and lay down for a minute, but we do have 2 brand new stories for you today.
And we are full on in December.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what happened.
I don't even know.
Don't even know what happened.
It'll be the end of the year before you know.
Oh my God. Shh.
So
I know.
Here's where we are.
Yes. So we got 2 new stories today.
We do, and I go first.
Yes, you do. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh, Janet.
Tracy.
I cannot even tell you how excited I am about this story. It was just sort of like a Facebook friend posted something slightly adjacent to this.
Oh, okay.
And it led me down a rabbit hole, and then that's what I've been doing with the last 4 days of my life.
Oh, wow.
All right. I'm going to talk to you about Mahala Mullins.
I don't recognize the name.
Okay. Well, she was born in 1824 in Newman's Ridge, Tennessee.
Okay.
She was born to Solomon and Jinsey, who was also known as Jane Collins. And their family is Melungeon.
Melungeon. I don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh. Okay, great. I was just about to ask.
I have no idea what that is.
So, who are the Melungeons? Mm-hmm. They are a triracial isolate community.
Okay.
Which means that they live in remote areas, there's self-isolation, and there's a whole lot of intermarriage.
Ah, okay.
They start in the United States from about the 1600s. Typically, they are enslaved people.
Ah, gotcha.
White Europeans.
Okay.
And indigenous people, although sometimes they say that they are Portuguese.
Okay.
Which would mean Portuguese.
Right, yes.
Surnames are Collins, Mullins, Gibson, Bunch, Bolin,
Whoa.
which we've used before, and Hawkins.
Okay.
So they are just small isolated communities.
Right.
And they end up kind of up in the Appalachian Mountains and in the Midwest. They're frequently, they are seen as outsiders.
Right.
Melungeon is used as a pejorative term at some point in time. I'm sorry, which cat is snacking on the back of your head? One of them was just coming up and biting you. I don't know if it was Beam or Walker. But
it doesn't matter.
They're also Melungeons. So Melungeon is maybe seen as melange from France.
Okay.
So it's a word that just sort of means that these are people from a different, all kinds of.
Right.
They're not pure bloods.
Oh,
they're mud
whatever.
bloods. Right,
Exactly. Nobody cares.
So Mahala's family is definitely Melungeon and dates back to 1802.
Okay.
Her, like, great-grandfather was maybe the first, like, Melungeon person to be registered in the state, in the city. And, it's a poor family that she's born into. Like I said, she's, Jinsey and Solomon are her parents. She is the oldest of 5. She marries John Mullins in 1840.
Okay.
And she is 17 years old when she marries him.
Gotcha.
His nickname is Skinny.
Skinny. Is he skinny?
He kind of is. He's a tiny little man.
Okay.
He's a fur trapper and a fur trader. And they get married. She's 17, and they immediately get down to the business of having a whole lot of kids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They have between 14 and 18 children.
Jesus.
Sir, get off of her. Depending on your source. But they have a lot of kids. She did have quadruplets once.
Oh my God.
Because that's mentioned in the paper.
Right.
3 of her sons also end up dying violent deaths. 2 of them are probably like moonshiner.
Gotcha.
Kill people type.
Right.
Murders. And then one of them dies in the Civil War. Which, this is something else that is interesting. Even though they're in Tennessee, all of her kids that go off to fight in the war end up fighting for the Union.
Oh, wow. Cool. Awesome.
So they're killed by Confederate soldiers if they are killed in war.
Right.
John, her husband, is a really tiny person, and he ends up dying during kind of that point in time. Okay. He has some kind of a wasting disease.
Oh.
He is under 100 pounds.
Oh.
When he dies, and he just sorts, he wastes away.
Oh, no.
So Mahala, she's there, and she's got to feed her kids, and
all of them.
So what do you do?
Right. What do you do?
It's not sex work in this case.
Okay.
Moonshine.
Oh, of course. Well, she's in Tennessee. That makes sense.
Right. She starts making moonshine. She does corn liquor. She does known for her peach and apple brandy.
Oh, nice.
She used rotten apples that were likely a heritage breed. We don't know for sure, but I spent all day today just looking at this. And it looks like it's limber twig or northern spy.
Oh, those are the types of apples?
Uh-huh.
There's so many apples that don't even exist anymore.
Right, that don't. So, heritage apples.
Right.
But limber twig and northern spy are the ones that she uses for her apples. And she also tends to take the ones that are on the ground, that are rotten apples. Smooth, delicious brandy is what follows. And I am going to take this time to show you my first photo.
Okay, I'm excited.
So here is Mahalia and John.
Okay, yeah,
their wedding photo.
Yeah,
it looks like
they look very nice, both of them.
Every 1880s, 1890s.
Yeah, it's not they look like normal people that look from the 1880s. Yep.
So beautiful. And then here's the apple.
Oh,
it's sort of a little bit green, a little bit red, with some black spots on it.
Okay.
So it looks a little bit like the northern Arkansas black, or some of those heritage apples that you don't see all the time, but you do see sometimes at a farmer's market.
Right, exactly.
And that have such good flavor.
Right.
Right? Well, they end up doing that, or growing those, and sorry. Anyway, Northern Spy and Limber Twig are the guesses.
Okay.
Really, really good brandy. The tree stumps near her house, she has one that has like a hollowed out tree stump.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, we just put jars of that
in the tree stump.
And you drop your money. And she's got like still 15 living kids, right?
Wow.
So like, drop your tree stump in like money in the hole and then just like grab out a jar. And if you're trying to cheat us, somebody is going to be like nearby with a gun.
Right.
So no, you didn't.
Right.
People come from miles away, like literally sometimes 100 miles away.
Wow.
Even competitors, even other people that are making moonshine are just like, she's doing all of it. So there's a TV show on Discovery called Moonshiners.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that ad. I haven't watched it.
I found this on Discovery UK, but I think you can find it on the United States channel also. They visited this house and tried to reproduce this 120-year-old brandy recipe.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And they found a descendant of Mahala that was able to be like, these are the apples that she used. And that's the other thing, too, is that when she was young and growing up around that place, they went and gave up like apple seedlings to all of the neighbors so that they could find... Because mostly what they used were the rotten apples that were like falling out. And they're like, look, you can eat these.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to come take your spoils.
Right.
And turn them into money. And it's a 4-person team on this Moonshiners show.
Okay.
And it's 3 old white dudes and 1 young woman.
Okay.
And it's the young woman that was like, we need to find this recipe and make it. And she did, and it was so good. And they were all like, well, you're going to have to drive us home. So good. So it was made also because Mahala, like, this was a poor family. So they wouldn't have had yeast or sugar.
Right.
Or any kind of anything from town. So they made their moonshine, their apple brandy, with basically wild apples, the wild yeast that grew on them.
Oh, neat.
And water.
Wow. And that's it.
So just what you get from the land. No sugar, because they're way up on the ridge.
Right.
A little 1-house, like 1-horse path.
Oh, wow.
That gets you up there. Up into the hills. It's sort of like in the Ozarks.
Yeah.
Pardon me, goodness. But, you have to get all the way up.
All the way
you kind
up
of have to know where you're going.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Haley, Miss Haley is also beloved by this point. She is giving apple saplings to people that wouldn't necessarily have like enough for them to grow. Like, oh, here, have some tree plants. Have some,
right.
Take some cuttings off of my plant. Like, take some stuff out of my garden. And she had cows, and so she always had milk. And she made cookies.
Oh.
And so if you showed up at her house, she would always give you like a fresh piece of gingerbread.
Nice.
And a cup of milk. Just a gracious woman.
Right, absolutely.
uncommon for women to be moonshiners. But number one, she can do it because she has all those kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you can like drop your money in the hollowed out tree and take your thing, or you can just go and you can go into the house and her still is in the house.
Oh my gosh.
So you can drop like 50 cents in the bucket and just take out like a scoop, like a ladle, and put it in a glass and get yourself a little bit of drink. And it's so lovely. And the thing that enables her to be able to do this in the house is that, well, she's Melungeon.
Okay.
And where they end up putting their cabin, they're halfway in Tennessee.
Oh.
And they're halfway in Virginia.
Oh.
So when the Tennessee revenuers go to get her,
they can't.
All she has to do is just move her inside stove from one side of her cabin
to the other. That's amazing.
Whoops.
It's like, sorry. It's like that part of Tennessee when you're like, we used to drive to Florida when I was a kid all the time, and you're leaving Chattanooga, and then suddenly you're in Georgia, and then you're back in Tennessee, and then you're in Georgia, because a lot of those roads are like that over there.
Completely like that. And it reminds me a little bit of the Bull Island Rock Festival.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, it's out of my jurisdiction. I don't want to deal with it.
It changes, so she can just move the still. So why is she going to be arrested?
Right. Not in their state.
Well, the reason that they want to arrest her is moonshining is illegal in Tennessee if you pay taxes.
Oh. If you don't pay taxes, it's not illegal?
If you don't pay taxes, it is illegal.
Oh, and she doesn't have any income.
This
is her income.
Oh, well, but the thing is, this is her income, and she could just pay the taxes on the whiskey she's making.
Sure.
But, Melungeon, again, like, triracial isolates. Part of her family is Cherokee.
Oh, okay.
And even though her family is like the very first Melungeon family to be registered in the state of Tennessee.
Right.
She's indigenous and her family didn't get anything from reparations.
Oh, yeah, screw them.
So they're Cherokee.
Like, and I'm not giving you any money.
They are owed things. And oh my gosh, we're going to get to a few really good quotes. Oh my gosh, this woman, she spoke her mind and she spoke it so well. But she said, her first quote, "They won't get a dime of my money. They owe me. I'm not paying them."
Right. Absolutely.
And completely. She's like, I didn't get any indigenous money. Screw you if you think I'm going to pay taxes to the state.
Right. No.
For what I'm doing on my ancestors' land.
Exactly.
So you would wonder, though, like normally you would think that the government would be the bigger force here. So why can't they force her to pay things or just run her off her land? Well, why don't they arrest her?
I assume you're going to tell me why.
Janet.
Tracey.
Janet and listeners.
Yes, Tracey.
And listeners. Why don't they arrest her?
Why don't they arrest her, Tracey?
Number one, the location is really remote.
Exactly.
As we have said. The boundaries are on state lines.
Yep.
So it's a little bit
difficult.
The path up to the cabin is a narrow, guarded by her sons, single horse
Trail.
Like, maybe you could get up there with one horse.
Okay.
And guarded by her many kids.
Yeah. One against a lot.
And, well, there's something else.
Okay. I'm excited. She's pulling up another picture, folks.
I really am. And in addition to all of that, Mahala Mullins weighs about 600 pounds.
What? Wait a minute. That's her?
Yes.
What? Oh my God.
She is nicknamed Big Haley.
Oh, so she's a large lady.
She is about literally 600 pounds.
Wow.
They cannot get her off the ridge. They can't get a carriage up there. And there's no way that they can get her down via horse.
Wow.
The road won't allow for a wagon. She almost gets kind of like Paul Bunyan style stories. There is one, and this is the one that I love. Like, all right, she was the best moonshiner in the country. And so there's one story where it said that she wrestles 30 men in one day, and she beats all of them, and then she sells every single one of them whiskey. Essentially, she's just too large to get out of
that, yeah.
where she is.
There's no way.
She's indicted multiple times. Like, I want to say like 30. The judge in the town is furious. And they're like, well, why in the hell haven't you been able to bring this?
Are you going to give us money to build a road up there? Because
this woman who is way out of line. How can you not bring her in front of the court of law? And here is my favorite t-shirt idea. All right, like all of you, sign up for our Patreon. Because I want this on a t-shirt.
Okay.
Somebody came in front of the judge, one of the sheriffs, and said, Your Honor, she is catchable, but not fetchable.
That's my slow clap.
Catchable but not fetchable. I want that on it.
I know. Catchable but not fetchable.
Haley is in a great spot and she knows it.
Oh, wow.
She knows it. So she mocks the revenuers.
Of course.
They come up to try to arrest her and she's like, well, I sure hope that you... Oh, somebody's pooping.
It's okay.
It's a cat. It's okay. I sure hope you can get me off this here mountain because I sure would like to meet that judge. Also, she taunts the revenuers with, well, why don't you do your duty? I've been selling moonshine all along, and I'm going to do it again, too. As soon as you get out of sight, why don't you take me? I'm all yours, 700 pounds of me. Take me away with you, then.
Nobody's coming for her.
Ha, ha, ha. Come and get me, neener, neener.
Neener, neener, neener.
She is so great. So, now, what happened with Mahala was Not necessarily that she was just like a big, like a big person. She had what was then called elephantiasis.
Oh, yeah.
And it's medically known as lymphatic filariasis.
Oh, yeah, it's your lymphatic system isn't working correctly. Yeah.
And so your arms and legs swell.
Yeah, yep.
And get really, really big.
Yep. I actually have that kind of problem.
Do you?
Yeah. My right arm likes to blow up.
Whoa.
Because of the cancer. Because they removed lymph nodes. But it doesn't blow up because they take care of it.
The one that I'm talking about, they, most people get it because of roundworms.
Oh, crazy.
And you get those through mosquito bites.
Oh.
Which she lived up on the ridge
Yeah.
in Tennessee, so she probably got bitten by mosquitoes a lot.
Right.
And kind of like the people that like get the tick bites.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. We know somebody. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's got lymphatic filariasis. Mm-hmm. And this is from mosquito bites.
Wow.
And it causes her arms and legs to blow up. And that is why she ends up, like, the size that she is.
I gotcha.
She eventually becomes too big for the cabin door.
Oh, my God.
So she is, as Ryder said, literally under house arrest. In that she cannot get out of the house. She can't
leave the cabin.
So for 10 years, she is stuck in the cabin.
That's awful.
The still has always been in the house. So she is selling whiskey and brandy from a cask alongside her bed.
Wow.
People just come in.
Uh-huh.
And she's still got her sons, like, making gingerbread and, like getting jugs of milk. Like, if a kid comes into this house, she is going to take care of them.
Aww.
She's so sweet. And this man from another paper, like, comes in and is like, oh, well, why do you sell this destructive stuff to young men that it's just going to ruin their lives? And she says, well, it's the only way that I can make a living.
Oh.
So, we kind of love scofflaws in the Midwest. So, she's kind of good folk here. Like, she is taking care of people that don't have enough.
Right.
She is, like, making sure that people that come to her house never leave hungry.
Right, yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, she's making whiskey. But... like, they're gonna get it somewhere.
Right.
September 10th in 1818. Mm-hmm. Big Haley dies.
You mean 1918?
1818.
1818?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
That was because she was
wrong?
in the 1880s. So she passes away.
She was, I guess it would be 1918.
Yeah.
Sorry. Because she was 75.
Right.
She passes away. She is surrounded by, they say 15 kids. But again, it's, maybe she had 14 kids.
Right.
Maybe she had 18 kids. Mm-hmm. Some of them died in childhood. Mm-hmm. She at least had quads once. Which, man, that was another story, is that, like, when she had the quadruplets, it ended up in the paper because she was, like, almost 600 pounds then, and her husband was under 100 pounds.
Wow.
And she gave birth to, like, 4 healthy quadruplets.
That's crazy. She lived that long, though.
I know.
That's crazy.
And that, like, boy, you're lucky to get that many these days, right? So when she dies, though, how do we get her out of the house?
Yeah, how do you get her out of the house?
3 of her sons and her husband are all buried up there on the ridge. She, in her entire life, has never left the ridge.
Okay, wow.
So they bring people in, and apparently what they end up doing is just building a coffin around her bed.
Holy crap. crap. Okay.
Because
Yeah, no, I got you.
no regular coffin
No.
would fit her. And they dismantled the stone chimney.
To get her out.
Uh-huh. Because that's the only way that they can get
Wow.
her out. And she's buried on the ridge, again, with her husband and sons. And then they reassemble the chimney.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. I mean, if it was an older cabin, it probably, okay, well, this just gives us a chance to make the chimney better and we can get her out. So why not, right?
And I can show you right now.
Oh, yeah.
The house.
Wow.
It is still there.
Really?
And it is tourable.
Wow.
Now, they had to take it down from the upper ridge.
Sure, I bet.
Down to, like, kind of a lower place.
Yeah, and log cabins are easy to move. So you can take them apart and put them back together.
So they took it apart, and then they put it together. And if you take a look in the, like, all right, take a look at those hills.
Yeah,
You
I see the hills.
dip
Yeah.
in the back?
Yes.
That's where the cabin was.
Wow.
And they just, like, took it down the hill. So, like, now, it is also, and this is what I love, it is accessible by wheelchair and walker.
Nice.
So anyone and
Anyone
everyone
can go see it.
can go and visit Mahala's.
Wow.
Mahala's
That's
cabin.
great.
And the house is tourable. It's down the ridge. It is original. Lots of the original items. She really loved that blue and white kind of like China
Right.
pattern. And she really liked having just like nice wooden furniture and stuff like that. And so, I mean, she made money.
Yeah.
So she had some nice stuff.
Good.
And a lot of that nice stuff that she had around her is still there. And you can go and see her grave, and you can go and see her house. And again, the coffin was just, they built it around the bed, and then they took it out through...
Where the chimney was.
where the chimney was. And it took 20 pallbearers
Right.
to take her to her grave. But she is buried next to her sons and her husband. And amazing. And I love that she was like a woman that just figured out her own path through life. And raised 20, like 14 to 18 kids.
Right.
Right. So
That's amazing.
So Big Haley Mullins is fantastic.
That is really fun.
That is my story.
I love it. That's great. I love that story. I'd be very interested to see that house.
And I haven't heard anything more of it. It was like so hard to find. I saw one person, because the Mullins, one person that I am friends with on Facebook posted about being related to the Mullins.
Oh, okay.
And then I went down this giant rabbit hole, and then another rabbit hole, and then I'm like, wait, what? And so in the last 48 hours, all I have done is just like read, eat, and sleep. Mullins.
Oh my God. That's a great story. I love it.
Yeah.
She's like, screw you all.
Oh,
I'm like, I'm making money. You can't come after me. You owe me. I don't care.
That's still, it's on the Virginia side.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's on the Tennessee side. What do you want?
Would you like some gingerbread? Served along with a side of fuck you?
That's a great story. I love it.
And 20 kids, my goodness.
That's too many kids.
Like, or 18 kids. Like,
whatever.
ugh.
Not a lot.
And she also, in addition to the children that she had, she took in a few...
I can totally see that.
Completely, because she's just like, oh, come on in, baby. We'll feed you. We'll get you warm.
I feel like, okay, so remember...
The people that have the least do the most.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about this before. There is that TV show. I don't know if I'm it might be playing now. It was the same guy who was in one of your favorite TV shows. It's like a Western.
Deadwood?
Yes. So the guy from Deadwood ends up in another show. And playing basically the same character, but it's like more modern. And there is a character.
Oh, it was from your Al Swearingen episode.
Exactly.
Right? That's,
but
Ian McShane.
Yeah.
I think.
So anyway, the woman that is portrayed in this is like somewhere mixed between Ama Barker and that lady.
Right.
I mean, really, literally. Because it's like, okay, Ma Barker did some of this stuff, but then she also sold stuff, and she was always very nice, and she would take people in. Unless you crossed her, then you're out. Obviously, she didn't. But it's like, it feels like a mix where they were like, okay, we're going to take the terrible things that Ma Barker did, but we're also going to take her. Like, no, I'm going to help you out.
When your back is against the wall, you will do what you need to do to take care of you and yours.
Right.
And those are also
Justified.
The people that will...
That's the show.
And those are also... I have not watched Justified, but I do
Justified.
Like Timothy Oliphant. That's what I'm thinking about.
You need to watch it.
No, you need to take care of you and yours.
Exactly. It's crazy. I love it.
But those people are also the ones that will be like, oh my gosh, you're out on your own. You're so scared. You're so hungry. You're so cold. You need something.
Right.
And those are the people that will immediately, like, open up the blanket, make a bigger tent.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So good. I love it. Yay.
And like I said, it was such a total Tracey story.
Yes.
Like it's historic. There's some crime, but it's not really bad.
No, it's not really bad.
And you have one for me.
I do. I have a story for you. So, I am going to butcher this last name, so I'm only going to say it like once.
Okay.
Okay, twice. Nancy says Zanone, so Zanone, I guess. Zanone.
And normally I would have a guess.
Nope.
Today I do not.
We're just going to call her Nancy, okay? Because that's
Nancy
easy.
Z.
Nancy Z. So, back in the 1950s, when Nancy was about 12 or 13 years old, she was growing up in South St. Louis, where Tracey and I are recording from right now.
I was born in St. Charles, but I identify as a South Cityan.
Yep. I grew up in North County, but I lived in South City for at least, like 17, about 18 years. So
I've lived in this apartment more than I have any other home ever.
So anyway, so she's growing up in South City, and there's this man by the name of Don Zanone, or however you pronounce it. So her maiden name was Love. Okay, so she went by Nancy Love. She was growing up in South City. She didn't really... Nancy and Don's circles kind of crossed each other, but they didn't, they kind of knew each other, but not really. And Nancy started to feel a little crush on this Don guy. She's like, I like this guy. No, don't worry. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Oh, yeah, very much. Right. Don is a very good guy. Okay. And she's kind of like, goes to the shop that he works at just to chat with him, and everybody around Don knows that she has a thing for him except Don.
Oh, just one of those, like...
Yeah. So she's really into him. Don's parents apparently Don had some sisters. They referred to Nancy as that girl who's after your brother.
Some men just do not know. Like, they don't know if you're flirting with them if you are, like, literally sitting on their face.
Right. But the thing is that she was younger, okay? She's about 4 years younger than him. So when, 12, 16, the 16-year-old's like, why are you in here? But she's just she's taking her time, just kind of getting to, for him to know her. And then she At the age of 12 or 13, she was a dancer. She actually danced at the Muni, like in the 1950s.
Oh, thank God. I was right.
No. She was a dancer at the Muni. She did
Dancer.
Right. Once she entered high school, when she was a freshman, he was a senior, or he was about to graduate. So they're, again, 4 years apart, right? Once she enters high school, finally, she's kind of at that age. He's like, they start dating.
Okay.
When he gets out of high school, like the next year, he ends up going into the military and into the army. And so they decide, okay, we're not going to keep it exclusive because you're going to be way over there. I'm here, whatever. And, it wasn't great, but that's how it was. And they ended up getting through that. And in 1953, Nancy graduates from high school. At this point, once she graduates, Don's time with the Army is almost done. He's able to come back to South City. And he decides, they're dating. And then in 1955, he grabs one of his sisters and he's like, go help me find a ring. I gotta marry her. So they go and find a ring and they get an apartment over on Miami in South City. Oh! September 3rd, 1955, they end up getting married, and they end up honeymooning in the Lake of the Ozarks. Like, so South City story. Right? They rent the apartment.
We've got Lake of the Ozarks kind of money.
Exactly. So they rent an apartment over on Miami Street. They're both working. Don worked at the Skinner and Kennedy Manufacturing Company, which apparently still exists today. They were kind of like Ed and Jelena. They always have plans. They always have plans. They have plans with friends. They have plans with family. They're always like, okay, what's our next move? What are we doing? So they decide they want to start growing their family. Now at this point, they're hanging out with family and friends. Nancy doesn't have the best relationship with her mother because apparently the mom is on a lot of drugs, like prescribed medication, and so it's just not working super well with her mom. But she gets along really well with Don's mom. Don's mom, like, basically accepts her as like her own child. With the family growing, they decide to move into an apartment at Chippewa and Kings Highway.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so right by the QT.
Yeah, so Kings Highway and Chippewa, you have the Jack in the Box, you have the Lone Place, you have that Starbucks, and then whatever the Applebee's is now, it turned into a fish place, who knows. So, 1958, they end up having a daughter by the name of Laura. And then in 1961, they have a son by the name of David. 1963, in December, they're sitting around their apartment. They're like, okay, what kind of toys are we going to buy our kids? Maybe we should buy a house in North County. Because in the 1960s, you're living in South City, you want a bigger place. You could totally get a nice ranch, big house near nice public schools in North County.
Height of white flight.
Exactly.
Right?
So they're thinking about that. December 2nd, 1963, Don goes to work. Nancy walks Laura to school. And in the afternoon, the grandmother picks up Laura from school and brings her home. Grandma, this is Nancy's mom, I guess, she's still trying to have some sort of relationship with her, is kind of hanging out at the house, watching the kids while Nancy's running up and down those South City stairs to do her laundry. So, people who are not from St. Louis or know much about South St. Louis houses, there's a lot of doors involved. Mm-hmm. You got you could share a basement. They're living in an apartment, so they're sharing a basement with somebody. And you have basement door, but you also have an outer door.
Right.
Anybody can go in and out of that outer door if it's not locked.
Shotgun apartments like the one that we are here right now. There's like a front door, a back door, and then one from the basement, and then
Exactly.
like another basement one outside.
There is a multiple doors.
There are ways to get from the upper level to the lower level.
Exactly. So she's doing laundry, running up and down the stairs, and the kids are hanging out outside. Somebody comes to the front door. So while she's in the basement doing laundry, a boy comes to the front door and knocks on the door. The kids are there, and they're like, "Is your mother home?" And they're like, "Yeah, she's here." And so the kid leaves. And they're like, "That." And the kids are, like, the daughter is 5 or 6, so she's in kindergarten. The son is younger. Nancy is running up and down the stairs, and apparently when she comes back, she ends up with a surprise.
Oh.
So now I'm going to steer off for a moment. Let me introduce you to Joseph Arbiter, or Arbiter. Arbiter. I don't know, however you pronounce it. Joseph lives in the neighborhood. He's about 15 years old. He has had, his parents have a terrible relationship with each other. Joseph isn't raised very well. He becomes very interested in knives and stealing money from his own family.
No.
He ends up being a ringleader to a group of thieves in the neighborhood. He would tend to threaten his own family members with a knife. When he was 2 years old, this is how bad his family was. When he was 2 years old, his dad was trying to get him to drink some milk. He, and 2-year-olds, he pushed it away. So his father tipped his head back and just dumped the milk on his head and into his mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, his dad.
So he just chokes on it?
Yeah, his dad is an awful alcoholic, terrible, abusive to his mom and him. Apparently, his family moved constantly to avoid child services, like so much so that they actually went to Europe a couple of times to get away from child services because the dad was so awful.
And to hide what the dad's bad behavior was.
Yeah. He failed kindergarten because, he just had a bad upbringing. But he still felt like his dad was a role model because every time his dad would punish him for anything, he would always say, this is going to turn you into a man. So
that poor baby.
So Joseph takes that literally, like, oh, well, I have to be a terrible person. Like, he would go to school with bruises and stuff and show them off to his classmates, going, look what my dad did me. It's going to make me stronger. Because he has bruises and stuff on him.
That's awful.
Just awful. His dad ended up, finally, he ends up, because his dad was in the military, instead of him getting imprisoned for all the bad behavior, they end up just putting him into a hospital.
Oh my gosh. So they're punishing him instead of...
So they put the dad into the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they put the dad into the hospital. At one point, Joseph tried to stab his own sister. His dad looked down on women so bad it rubbed off on Joseph. Mm-hmm. Earlier in 1963, Joseph was walking home one day. He sees a lady walking. It was like 11:30 at night. This lady's walking home. She's got a purse, and Joseph's like, I'm going to go try to take her purse. But he also has a knife in his pocket that he's opened. And when he tries to take the purse, she fights him back, and he ends up stabbing this woman in her shoulder.
Oh my gosh!
And like, he runs away, doesn't get the purse. The woman, she ends up reporting it, going, this kid tried to take my purse, and he stabbed me in my shoulder. And so we're building up to this. So anyway, the same kid is the one who's knocked at the front door. And he's trying to find another house to rob. He doesn't find another house to rob. So he ends up coming back, and he's like, and he knocks on the door. Nobody answers. Because I think the grandmother had already left at this point, so it's just the two kids, and she's probably she's downstairs doing laundry. And he knocks on the door, nobody answers. The kids are on the other side of the South City house. And he comes around the back into one of those extra doors that all South City houses have.
Right.
And when she's coming upstairs, she goes to close the door, and he's hiding behind it.
No way.
And so instead of, doing what a normal criminal might do and just run away, what does he do? He stabs her like 4 times, including in the neck. Just because she caught him.
Get her away.
Yeah. So he stabs her like 4 times. She's trying to fight him off. And she's screaming for the neighbor. She's like screaming up the, oh my God.
Hey, help, help.
Right. And before the neighbor can get in, the kids end up coming to where their mom is, and they see their mom like stabbed multiple times.
Oh no.
And they're like, oh my God. So thankfully there was a cop nearby, and the neighbors responded really fast. So they were able to get her to the hospital. Not great ending, but she ends up at the hospital.
Good for them, though.
And so Don gets a phone call, and Don's like, your wife has been attacked. She's at the hospital. So he runs over to make sure the kids are okay. Mm-hmm. And then he ends up going to the hospital. She's had multiple surgeries with him. They did multiple surgeries overnight at the hospital.
They did everything they could.
Right. She does actually wake up. And she speaks to Don, and she's like, I have no idea who that was who attacked me. I have no idea. And then apparently her last words to Don were like, I love you. And then she just passes away. So at like 6:30 in the morning the next day after the attack, she ends up passing away.
Janet, that's so sad.
It is. It's awful. So thankfully, the daughter, who's 5, does realize what happened. And so the cops were able to confirm with her what happened. She's like, some kid, we saw him at the front door. So they were able to give kind of a description of what happened. John...
5?
Yeah. I mean, well, somebody saw something, right? Because the kids, he did come to the front door earlier before he did this. So she was the one who was able to recognize the kid. Now, John Walsh, who is the captain of the St. Louis Police Department at this time, figured out, this is that Joseph kid that was down the street.
Oh my gosh!
Because, that one lady reported him stabbing her in her shoulder. So,
right.
And apparently Joseph has been in and out of like juvenile detention for a lot of different things. So they end up going to question him. And Joseph ends up saying, yeah, it was me. I was the one who stabbed the lady in the shoulder. But he resists about saying anything about Nancy. You know? He's like, I don't know.
Well, because he could be prosecuted.
Right. And he doesn't even realize she's dead because she was still alive when he left her.
Oh.
So he ends up resisting the cops and, about Nancy, but then finally the cops end up lying to him and saying, well, somebody did see you. I mean, it wasn't totally a lie. The 5-year-old did. And he's like, okay, so he ends up confessing to stabbing Nancy. Now, again, the cops at this point in time have still not told Joseph that Nancy has passed away. So after he stabbed Nancy, apparently went to somebody else's backyard, buries the knife because he doesn't want to get caught. They didn't have any plans to take him to a juvenile facility. They just questioned him. And then the police end up taking Joseph with them over to Joseph's house to see his mother. And so instead of normal police protocol, they just throw the kid in front of his mom and say, tell your mom what you did. And he's like, I stabbed the lady down the street. And his mother, Wanda, starts freaking out and is like, please do not tell me you killed the lady down the street, because she already knows that lady's dead. Completely. That is when Joseph finds out that he killed someone.
Oh, wait, what? I'm sorry. So he just was
he stabbed her.
He says he just woke up.
No, he stabbed her. He admits to stabbing her. He does not realize that she's dead.
Oh, okay.
So his own mother says, "Oh my God, Are you the one who killed the nice lady down the street with the 2 kids?
And she's like, oh my gosh, I just stabbed the nice lady down the street.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
So he was handed over to juvenile detention, but because of the mass amount of cases that were getting, he had been sent before this, okay? You have to understand why he's never really been, he keeps getting in trouble, but at this point in time
Is it the killing?
No, in 1963, St. Louis City had 7,000 juvenile cases. Ask me how many juvenile caseworkers we had working in 1963 for the 7,000 cases they were trying to work.
12.
25.
Oh, okay.
25 people to handle 7,000 cases.
Good gosh.
So every time he would get sent to juvenile detention, they would just send him back home to his mom and like, we'll get to you when we can. Because they couldn't.
And because you are one of the few people that might actually have a mom.
Right.
Like, oh, you have a house?
We'll go back there. It'll be fine. So, October of 1966, he ends up being found guilty for getting life in prison for first-degree murder. However, the Supreme Court of Missouri overturns it in 1966 for not taking the proper steps because of his age. He should have went to juvenile, but he went to the police department. So there was that catch. So they end up turning the sentence to a 40-year sentence. However, juvenile records were used that should have not been, because you know how they're supposed to be under lock and key. And he only gets prison term for 5 years, and he's let out in 1970.
No.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Gone.
So the justice system just fails, it just totally fails. In 1970, once he gets released, he's immediately tried for a rape case, but cleared. In 1971, there's a burglary conviction. Nothing happens with that.
Oh, gosh.
In 1974, he is charged with murder of killing a tavern owner and sexually assaulting a woman in Herculaneum. But then he's acquitted in 1976 by a jury. It's like the justice system just keeps putting him back out on the street over and over again.
We know who he is and where he is offending, and oh my gosh.
So
Come on. Oh, my head hurts.
April 4th, 2014. There is a trailer park in Sedalia, Missouri.
Surely not.
A trailer someone had recently been evicted from.
Surely not.
The landlord smelled a foul odor.
Oh my God.
They end up finding human remains in a bin in the front of the trailer and some across the street in the woods. What they find are 2 arms, a leg, and a nose that's mostly decomposed. Joseph had just been sent to prison again for attempted rape, and someone at the trailer park, he was sent to jail for attempted rape of somebody he tried to rape at the trailer park he was living in. And he ends up, basically, when they find these remains, they're like, oh, well, apparently this victim died like 5 months ago, and he's now just trying to get rid of the body. He finally, in 2014, gets sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder of Mandy Black. That was the person they figured out who was in the bins in front of his house, who had been missing. But then Joseph serves a whole year in prison because he ends up dying of natural causes.
I don't care about rapists having like a rough end of life, but boy, that is a lot, and I have all kinds of conflicted feelings.
He just kept getting out of, like, he was a horrible person. He killed more than one person. He raped more than one person.
Completely.
He dismembered a person and left him in his front yard, basically. And he just never, like...
And I want to see him get justice for that and not for, like, all right,
But
well...
he's like, oh, finally you get life in prison at the age of 60-something, but he dies a year later.
He also evened the score for a whole lot of people. Like, a lot of the folks that it sounds like he took out were people that were really terrible.
Oh, no, he was just a bad person. So, October 1st, 2021, Don, Nancy's husband, he finally passes away, leaving behind Laura, David, and I guess he ended up having another child, Kathleen, with somebody else, and he had a whole bunch of grandkids. And I looked at the obituary. He looks like he never remarried after his wife died, but he had kids and grandkids, and he lived until 2021. He just died of old age, after his wife was brutally murdered in their house. So
awful.
I mean, apartment. But yeah, I had no idea about that story at all.
No, none.
None at all.
And so none of the people that he...
I mean, we know he killed Nancy. We know he killed Mandy. And we know he killed the tavern owner. So he killed at least 3 people.
Okay.
And we know at least he was charged with at least 2 rapes, maybe more. I'm sure there was way more than that because, I'm sure in the 50s and, even today, people don't report those as much as they should be. So he was an awful person. He killed innocent people and he was just terrible. And his dad, made him that way, basically. So
pretty much.
But yeah, that's the story of Nancy.
Well, so fine. If
it's just crazy. But it was so close to home. I'm like, oh my God, this is like right here. Had no idea. So that's my story.
Oh my gosh.
And it all happened in December around Christmas. So it's kind of sort of a Christmas story.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Well, the merry bells
keep ringing.
May your murder wishes
come true.
I am going to take Janet out back, and we're going to talk about who needs killing. And I'm going to feed her some moonshine from a hole I got dug in my backyard. And we'll be back with What's Nice. Hey, Muddy Buddies. Tracey here. Thank you so much for listening to us from the last year. Please do follow Big Muddy Mayhem on wherever it is that you are getting your podcasts. Also, give us a 5-star review and a tiny little comment in the comment section. That really does help push us up through the algorithm. So even if it's just like, stay muddy, just 2 little words. If you can take 5 minutes and do that for us, we would really appreciate it. Also, if you have suggestions for new stories, send to bigmuddymayhem@gmail.com and we will make sure to get you on the show. And we really, again, appreciate you taking an hour out of your day once a week and listening to us. And we appreciate you, but if you can push us a little bit further down the road, we would really like that too. And we're going to get back to What's Nice.
Welcome back.
Welcome back for What's Nice.
So you have tonight's What's Nice first.
I do. My first one. So I have a really hard row to hoe.
Oh, yeah. You're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, completely in the middle of nowhere. In fact, the nearest town that I could find was Sneedville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Which makes me feel like so Dr. Seussian. Your the turtle does not live there.
Are you sure?
Sneedville/Thornhill, Tennessee.
Okay.
But I was able to find something lovely.
Okay.
And that is that usually in these small towns, you can find some good, like, natural sights
Oh, yeah.
there because it's beautiful. That's
Right.
why people go
Yeah,
there.
I see Sneedville right here on the map, and there's
Uh-huh.
there's the line. There's where Virginia is, right there.
Right in between Virginia and Tennessee,
That
right.
is so crazy.
So in Sneedville, they do have some place called Elrod Falls.
Ah, nice.
And
There's a lot of
Elrod-
falls in Tennessee.
They have 3 natural waterfalls
Ooh.
alongside of a very small hiking path.
Oh, nice.
And what I liked about it is that this hiking path is accessible.
Nice.
So if you have somebody that is like an older relative or
Right.
somebody that might be in a wheelchair or needs to walk with a cane, this is really easy. And they can go and see these 3 beautiful waterfalls
Oh, nice.
without a whole lot of trouble.
Cool.
It's gorgeous in the fall. There aren't really any restaurants, so
Yeah.
you're going to have to go eat somewhere else.
Pack a picnic. Pack some sandwiches.
3 waterfalls, a swimming hole, accessible, like I said, and it's 5 minutes between the parking and the falls.
Okay.
And Elrod Falls has 3 beautiful waterfalls, and oh my gosh.
Oh, wow. The last picture, it has a bunch of fall colors around it. It's beautiful.
And they're gorgeous. They
Yeah.
are like 3 stories, just
Wow.
like all the way down. So, so pretty.
That's really, really great.
And, well, I told you that, sometimes some of these old moonshiner
Uh-huh.
stories, like I told you about how I went to Cave in Rock after the Alf Bolin story.
Right.
And we went and walked around Garden of the Gods. This is a lot like that.
Oh, nice.
So there's a bunch. And so what I would say is that if you have the chance to travel, especially if you have older people in your family that might know or want to go and see these places,
You can.
go and do it. Go and see it with them.
Right.
And if you can't go see it with them, just go and see it.
Right. Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
nice.
And, man, there's a whole lot that's not great right now. But when you can go and see some of these beautiful places in our country,
yeah.
man, just go and enjoy it while you can. Go and do it early. Take
Yeah.
your family. If you can take your parents,
Right.
if you are lucky enough to have
right.
those folks in your life,
Go
take
do
them
it.
with you.
Right. Yeah.
And
Nature is a medicine.
nature is a medicine, and it is good to see family
Yeah.
when
Absolutely.
you can. So, like, all of that, like, is just
Nice.
good medicine, and like what we should be reveling in right now while
Sure.
we can.
Of course.
And so that's me being apolitical. Janet's always like, stay off of it.
It's fine.
And I'm always like, but here we are.
Yes.
And
I don't
like
know
I
if I've
said-
seen Elrod Falls. Maybe I have.
Elrod Falls, it looks like it would be something that would be really lovely to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the one thing that we can agree upon is that the Midwest does have all kinds of places to be Midwest nice.
There are so many places.
And Elrod Falls is what's nice in Sneedville, Tennessee.
Nice.
Janet, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. You're going to know mine because I'm in South City. Turns out. This is,
Who lives there
I
anymore?
have no, right? Definitely not Amy. Definitely not you. So I was like, okay.
Amy doesn't.
Yeah, Amy lives in South City.
Oh,
She lives 2 blocks away from you.
Other Amy. Okay, I was thinking of Amy Kate.
No, not that one. So I'm going to go with South City, Carondelet Park.
Tell me about
So Carondelet Park, it is the third largest park in the city of St. Louis. It boasts a beautiful boathouse, fantastic rec center and pool, which is the YMCA. They have walking paths, tennis courts, ball fields, horseshoe pits, playgrounds, and the park was established in 1875. Now, do you know where the name Carondelet came from?
I do not.
Okay, so let's see here. Carondelet was originally called Louisbourg in honor of King Louis the 15th of France. 15th. And then Prairie Catalan after one of the settlers, Louis Catalan. Finally, in 1794, it was named Carondelet in honor of Baron Francis Louis Hector, that's a long name, Baron Francis Louis Hector de Carondelet, a Fleming appointed by the Spanish governor of Louisiana.
Okay.
So it has bore other names as well, but in the early days it was referred to as Dolores Village, which basically Carondelet was its own city. Carondelet actually had a mayor.
Wow. Okay.
It was not a part of St. Louis. It was Carondelet. It was the city of Carondelet. But then eventually it did become St. Louis. So we have this park there. The topography of the park is quite varied, and there are sinkholes, railroad tracks, a bridge, hills, and valleys. The rec center is run by the YMCA, which we already know. Mm-hmm. If you head over the bridge, over the railroad tracks, to your left is a much used spot in St. Louis for people, because that's where the mulch pit is. That's where you go drop off your Christmas tree to get it mulched up, right? I've dropped a few trees there. Another fixture in Carondelet Park is the wood-framed Lyle House. Originally a Spanish land grant, Carondelet was owned by the Lyle family. They were unfortunately Southern sympathizers of the Civil War. Their mansion sits in the park, awaiting a use worthy of its history. Carondelet became a public park in 1875, along with O'Fallon Park, after St. Louis, North and South St. Louis voiced their outrage over a half-day survey ride in the proposed forest park. So, but yeah, the park has been there for a very, very long time. But yeah, Carondelet is originally named from the town, Carondelet.
We are so very fortunate in St. Louis for many reasons, but mostly, like, we have so many good, beautiful green spaces.
Yes, absolutely.
That are like Shaw's Garden and Tower Grove Park and Forest Park, which is bigger than Central Park and
right.
Like, oh my gosh, so much. So many beautiful green spaces.
Yeah, my son actually used to do bicycle racing in Carondelet Park. So, yeah.
Nice.
When he was in high school. But yeah.
And you can enjoy them all for free.
Exactly.
If you live here, if you're just coming to visit here. Also, St. Louis, don't sleep on us as a food city.
No.
So, please come eat here.
We got all the food.
Oh. Message us. We'll tell you where to go.
Exactly. But that's what's nice. Carondelet Park.
That is what's nice. Yeah. And oh gosh.
So we kind of both went with a little bit of the nature thing. Therefore, what's nice.
Nature. And like I said, mine was kind of like a little bit southern. And oh my goodness, looking into all of the things about the Mullins, that gave me like 3 or 4 more stories.
Oh,
that
nice!
I'm gonna like. I've already like my to be read, like to be done list grew by 3 sizes that day, and we love it, and we hope that you are enjoying your holidays.
Yes.
And we're gonna
keep on keeping on.
We're gonna keep on keeping on and like get through the Christmas season and all of that. But We really appreciate you listening to us and love and hope that you are still enjoying our show.
Yes.
Please do leave some comments in the Facebook pages or on
YouTube.
YouTube is a big thing.
Right.
The more engagement that we get from that, the more that we can just kind of keep growing our audience.
Exactly.
And we love that.
Right.
And we
Make sure to
love
tell
you.
your friends.
Tell
and
your
family.
friends.
Tell your dog. Tell your cat. Tell. You know what? When you go to those holiday functions, if you don't want to talk politics, bring up our podcast.
That's right. We try to keep it, kind and available for everyone.
Exactly.
And, well, the reason that we do that is because we always try to do one thing, Janet, and what is that?
Do we try to stay Midwest nice?
We try to stay Midwest nice.